G'day, this is Ghost Wolf, and I am down in the salt mines because I want to put in an auto sorter. These sorting modules are awesome because they are one wide and tileable out to pretty much infinity. So let's take a look at what you will need to build this along with me. To start with, you will need 2 hoppers and 2 chests, and these will be your input and output for the sorting system. So 1 hopper and 1 chest will go at the front, and that is where items will enter the sorter, and then you'll have a hopper at the end which will feed into an output chest for items that the system couldn't sort. Then you need to work out how many modules you want your build to have. I'm just building 4 modules. All I want is to be able to throw any stone in there that I've mined, and everything else I can carry upstairs with me back into the mansion. One of the ways in which this is a really flexible system is that you can build it with as few as 1 or 2 modules and then expand it later simply by moving either the in or output hopper and chest, or both, and expand it in both directions. So for each module, so each item that you want to sort, you'll need 4 blocks to place your redstone on, and these can be any block you like, a repeater, a comparator, a redstone torch, 4 pieces of redstone dust, 3 hoppers, and 2 chests or trapped chests. Now, trapped chests are what makes the modules tileable. You need to alternate between regular chests and trap chests. If you use only chests, then each module will not be 1 block wide because they won't go next to each other. Trap chests are really easy to make though. All you need is a chest and a tripwire hook. So I've carved out a space to place my auto sorter. The modules are 6 blocks long and 4 blocks tall. So if you are building this underground, you will need to make allowances for that. You can see that I haven't just hollowed out an area that is 4 by 6. But rather I have left those 2 blocks up the front, which is where I'm going to be placing the chests. And although the modules are individually 4 blocks high, you do need an additional 2 block clearance to place the input chest, and you'll see what I mean by that when I put the input chest in place. So we're going to start with our blocks, and these are the blocks you'll be placing your redstone on. I'm using this eye-searingly bright orange concrete that I made for another project, and it was perfect in that project, but I did tear that project down, and when I moved it I decided to use a completely different colour scheme. And it just so happened that 16 was the exact number of blocks that I needed, so that all worked out pretty well. Starting at the back of your build, place down a line of your blocks, and then a line of repeaters coming out of those blocks. Put another row of blocks in front of those repeaters, and then redstone torches coming off those blocks. Build up another row of blocks. And then put a final row of blocks over the top of the repeaters. Above the redstone torches, you want to put a line of comparators facing towards the back of your build. And then put redstone dust on top of these blocks. And that is the redstone component finished. Come to the front of the build and place down your chests. So 2 regular chests, then 2 trapped chests, back to regular chests, and then trapped chests again. Grab your hoppers, and by crouching, place a hopper going into each of the chests. Now these hoppers are locked by the redstone torches underneath, so you see I can throw items at them and they won't accept them. So grab a temporary block, place it over the top of your chests, and add another row of hoppers going into your temporary blocks. Now this is very important. Your hoppers need to be facing away from the comparators. So your hoppers and comparators need to be pointing in opposite directions. And you can see the little spouts on the hoppers are pointing towards me. And I cannot tell you why it works this way, but in order for the comparators to read the contents of the hopper, they need to be facing away from each other. And if anyone knows why that is, you can certainly comment below. I would love to hear the answer for that. So we're going to grab another temporary block, and we're going to place it up here and put a line of hoppers along the top pointing into each other. And you'll see we've come out 1 hopper further than the rest of our build. And this is our input hopper. So I'm just going to jump up on a temporary block, and I'm going to create an additional space above that hopper, and that will allow me to open this chest and place items inside. At the other end, we break this temporary block and place down a chest so that the final hopper is feeding into it. And that is the building part completed. So now what we need to do is put the items in the hoppers that make it sort. Here in my inventory, I have a stack of what appears to be wheat, but it's actually not wheat. I used wheat because it was something that was plentiful, and I just put it on an anvil and renamed it to not wheat. And you'll notice that on the console that you can rename the entire stack and it only costs 1 enchantment level, so make sure that you're doing all 64 at a time. You never know when you might need the extras. This is where the lazy part of the Lazyman's sorter comes in, because we're not going to do any math, we're just going to throw the necessary items into each hopper and let the hoppers sort themselves out. So you want to open the middle of the 3 hoppers, which is facing you. Take your renamed item and place 1 in each of the 4 back slots. Then, I know I want this one to be granite, so I'm just going to throw the granite that I have on me into there. Now this one's going to be diorite, so 1, 2, 3, 4 of our renamed item, and a stack of diorite. This is for andesite, so 1, 2, 3, 4 of the renamed item, and that lone piece of andesite. And the reason that we have renamed this wheat item is so that no matter what we throw into the sorting system, it will never be not wheat, because not wheat doesn't exist. And initially I was going to just use mushrooms, because the odds of me throwing mushrooms into this sorting system was insanely low, but I didn't actually have enough mushrooms, so wheat it is. So a quick description of how this sorter works. Imagine we have some diorite in our inventory. So we throw the diorite into the chest, which is taken out of the chest by this hopper, and then pushed into the hopper next to it. That hopper looks downwards and finds no empty slots. So it pushes the item into the next hopper over, which again looks down and finds no empty slots. However, in the next hopper over, when it looks down, it sees that there is diorite there and adds the item to those already in the stack. So I'm going to throw some redstone in here to show you what happens when you use an item that cannot be sorted. And so you can see that it's already flowing through the system. It looks down, no open slots, and it repeats the process for each of the modules. And when it finds no slots available, it is pushed into this chest, where it can be removed. Once the item is in the middle hopper, it is unable to feed into the bottom hopper, and therefore cannot pass into the chest. And this is where our redstone comes in. So these comparators are measuring how many items are in the hoppers behind them. When there is up to 24 items, those comparators will produce a signal strength of 1. So you can see that the redstone next to the comparators is smoking slightly, which means that those redstone dots are on. They are being powered. When a 25th item into one of these hoppers, the signal strength increases to 2, powering the next redstone dot. This puts power into the block below the redstone, which is pulled out by these repeaters, and pushed into the block in front of them. This powering turns those redstone torches off, momentarily unlocking the hopper underneath so that it can pull that excess item out of the hopper above it and into the chest. So if we throw some cobblestone into the system, we can see the redstone working. Now the cobblestone is filling up the hoppers, and you can see this second dot starts blinking as the comparator measures this hopper going between 18 and 19 cobblestone. Now I only started with one cobblestone block in that hopper, but it automatically stabilized itself at 18, which is where I say you don't need to do any math to make this system work. It will always sort itself out. So I'm going to quickly do some mining because I would like to get some diamonds, and when I am done with that, I will be back and I will throw my excess stone into the system and we'll see it doing its thing.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
As you can see, I didn't find any diamonds. It was a very disappointing trip. I did throw some gravel in there as well, just so you can see the system spit that out at the end. So we come around the back, we can see the cobblestone, redstone blinking on and off. And I'll just speed this up a bit so that we don't have to wait through all of the items. So here's the gravel that got spat out, and I can't really tell the difference between gravel and andesite most of the time anyway, so that's probably going to happen a lot in the future. I have found one small problem with the system, and that on the console the redstone related lag seems to stop these bottom hoppers from efficiently pushing their items out before they are locked again by the redstone shutting off. But if you're working with quantities large enough to warrant a sorting system, then you can probably afford to have 5 or 6 blocks stuck in the works, and you'll get them all back if you ever need to dismantle the system anyway. And that is my Lazyman's auto sorter. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. It is a real boost to my self-esteem. This has been Ghost Wolf, and until next time, cheers! We didn't do the cobblestone, did we? Did we do the cobblestone? I am talking to myself, 'cause I don't remember where this is going. Oh, that was lightning. Blink, 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 blink. That's a lot of cobblestone. Blink, 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 blink. Blinky, blinky, blink. Are we done? And we're done.